All right, welcome to our 5th art panel, our first ever fully digital art panel for TennoCon 2020. And I am joined by Geoff, Lucas, and Keith, and we're going to be going through some behind the scenes stuff that we've been working on this year, some stuff that we've been doing from our work from home stations. So why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves? We can start with Geoff.
Hi guys, I'm Geoff. I'm the art and animation director on Warframe. It's really cool to see everyone. I haven't seen you guys since March. So
I know.
It's weird to be back in the studio in this kind of setup, but I'm really glad you guys could accommodate it. Thanks very much, Dean, for setting this all up.
Thanks, Dean. And Lucas, you're also here socially distanced from all of us in a safe space.
I'm in the forest. So
yes.
That's pretty cool. So my name is Lucas, and I'm Associate Art Director on Warframe. And I'm really happy to be here.
Yay. And Keith, you are also joining us, but even further away from the office, actually nowhere near us. So hello, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me. And it's been longer in time too. I unfortunately missed TennoCon last year, but I was there before, the year before, and it's nice to kind of join remotely on this one.
Yeah.
And I'm a concept artist, and I've been working on Warframe since the get-go, and I kind of just send everyone a bunch of stuff as much as I can, and they try to sort through it.
Yeah, he drowns us in ideas.
Well, welcome everyone, and it's so nice to have you back. You've been on panels before, so we're going to go through our panel agenda quickly here. So we're going to, of course, do some reveals. We're going to show you some concept art. We're going to show you some progress reports on things that you've maybe seen before. We also have a fashion frame review segment in which Geoff, Lucas, and Keith, you will have your say on some of the submissions we've received from our community. So be nice or don't, I don't know, constructive criticism too, leave it up to you. And so with that, we're going to jump straight into our first segment here, and we're going to talk about some Warframes. And first on the docket is, of course, something the community would be quite familiar with because they actually created it. So the community created Warframe. We started this project back in March, and it started with the theme that the Design Council picked, which was broken. So we're going to be exploring some of the early concept art from Eornhardt, wonderful Warframe fan artist, one of the 4 Warframe community artists that we actually work with in this project. So if you guys wanted to go ahead and jump into this and just talk about the process of creating a Warframe from a single word, broken.
It kind of weirdly worked out nicely, the theme. It's kind of segued really nicely into this content we're working on, and thematically it has a really a nice purpose for kind of the update that's going to be coming along with it. So that worked out really well, and then it was really cool that Eornhardt kind of just took a first swing at it. This was the pitch they came up with on their own, just based on the theme. And I think that's when we realized that we kind of wanted to pivot a bit and give a bit more specific feedback towards how it would work. And I think that's where Pablo might have came up with the idea of a void corrupted frame that had to piece itself together from various parts of other Warframes. Right. And that's kind of how it evolved from there to the next stage.
Right. So we ended up with Eornhardt presenting us with kind of variations of what that broken Warframe would look like. So still kind of, I guess, retaining some of the first concept. And then...
And this was great. This was amazing. We just asked them to kind of be really quick, give us some quick silhouettes that we can kind of look at to get a good vibe for, and this is really great to build from.
And then we ultimately ended up with this final concept art, which the community has seen already, but what hasn't been shared yet is the final in-game model of Zaku. So here is Zaku. We are presenting them to the world. The next Warframe to be released, our 44th Warframe, if that's right.
Crazy.
44th, that's crazy. So I noticed some really interesting animations happening here.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun kind of play on the character mesh, leaning on the theme of the instability of the frame. You're going to kind of see that in how it behaves. The armor kind of gets loose from its body and floats a bit, and that actually gets incorporated into the power casts a lot as well. The armor is able to kind of be separate and then be used as functions for the casts.
So cool. So cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
So what's a Warframe without a nifty, stylish alt helmet? And we actually had Faven, a longtime TennoGen artist, concept and also model the helmet. And I know that Faven sent you a bunch of choices, really, to pick from. So what made you pick the space bun situation we've got going on here?
I think it just stood out. It had the strongest kind of presence on the batch that he pitched to us, which was very cool. He pitched us a good amount of options. And these two artists were really great to work with. I find in general our community artists are amazing to work with. They were just really collaborative and really open to ideas and feedback, and just kind of really fast as well. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, super speedy, super responsive. Really, honestly, just a delight to work with.
Yeah.
And they came up with just some incredible stuff.
The bun is really wonderful because it creates like a locus or a terminating point to all of the tendrils that go out. So it creates sort of a unifying principle to something that could risk being kind of going off in all directions.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Love
it
that.
feels really nice thematically.
And then we get to see the actual final version of Zaku's alt helmet. And we get to see kind of what you were saying there, Keith, with just the tendrils flowing. And this is actually now, in the concept art, it looked like tubing almost, but we've changed it to look more like FX, like energy flowing.
It has that ethereal kind of void quality to it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
And again, it's really cool that Faven could build this, and it just worked really well with Ray and the character guys. It was really smooth. Definitely be open to working with these two artists again. They were great.
Awesome. And then we, of course, with our Warframe releases, we bring out signature styled cosmetics to come with them. So Zaku, of course, is going to be coming out with a signature broken SYANDANA. And similarly to Aornhart, we had posted this concept to the community, and it was made by the lovely Karu, who you might be familiar with, already does a lot of kind of Warframe fashion styled art. So it only seemed
Amazing
appropriate.
art. I love the art that they do.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It's super fantastic, and we've got the fashion sense here in the concept, and we have the final model here.
I think Lucas worked a lot. He gave a lot of feedback on the.
Yeah, I
the
worked with
SYANDANA.
Karu on this one, and it was like a pretty great collaboration. And at the end, we thought like, if you can see like the general shape, it's feel like a crack, right? So with the theme of the broken Warframe. But it have like another one that I saw and that I really liked. It was kind of like a thunder, right? Because for me, this Warframe, like the theme is like broken, but it's kind of made up from 3 different Warframe, a little bit like Frankenstein. And with this like blue tentacles, it's feel really like a Frankenstein type of Warframe. So I think this one fits really well with the theme.
And we kind of carried over that Frankenstein sense over to the signature weapon as well. So here are some early concepts brought by Danielle. Again, a great Warframe fan artist who's been playing Warframe for a really long time and making incredible art as well. And what was the decision making behind a Warfan?
Oof, I think it's because we don't have any Warframe lately.
Yep.
So it was like, let's do one.
Right.
And I think for this particular theme, it was very challenging because you need to visually divide 3 different types, right? Because this Warframe is made up of 3 different Warframe, but the Warframe is so small and repetitive. So this was a great challenge that Danielle did. She did a really good job with. Yeah.
Yeah. So we see a couple of different work in progress concepts there, just taking a stab at incorporating all of those elements into one unified Warfan. And we can finally celebrate the Gunson not being the only Warfan in the game. So it's great to kind of, expand on that category. So I'm sure people will be excited about that.
It's good pressure to get another stance out there. I think.
We've only got one, so
I know.
we've only got one. And then, of course, here's, I guess, the final render that we that Lucas, ultimately you ended up telling Kademel to push forward and finalize.
Yeah.
And then we have. Yes.
Sorry. I think what's interesting about the Warfan is originally it was sort of linked with an idea of a historic, an Orican type of weapon, where it may be a little bit surreptitious. It may be something that kind of an aristocratic type might have slightly secret, which is based off of kind of an actual thing that was used in ancient Japan, where they would have these metal war fans that they would use often to defend themselves from assassins and things like that. And what I like about this design so much is it almost goes back to the design of a paper fan, where you have those kind of wooden slats, and then you have the paper concertina in the middle as two distinct materials. Because I think with the Gunsen, which might have been based off of some of my Warfan stuff earlier, it was based off of the metal ones, where they're all consistently the same kind of slats, which then got plated. So it's great to see sort of a different form of fan being incorporated into the our Warframe style fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely got a lot of sharp paper going on now with the broken Warfan and the Gunsen.
So the heavy attack will be paper cut.
Hey, those are nasty.
Those are the worst, I know.
Yeah,
those
are nasty. I would not want a Warframe running at me with a paper cut machine, so I would be afraid Grenier Corpus. And then, of course, we have the introduction of the broken Warframe in its final form. So there you go.
So yeah, I was really lucky to be able to model it. The concept was great. It was really straightforward. And when we worked on it, I talked about it to Joe Buck, and he bring up the idea of having an heavy attack. And when you do it, it kind of throws the purple blade away. So it's a melee that can reach a little bit further. So I think this will be really interesting to play with. I'm really excited about it.
I'm excited now. That sounds awesome. So with that, we've just introduced our next Warframe and the signature SYANDANA, alt helmet, and weapon that will be released with Zaku. And the best part of this is that it was all created by you guys, the community. So you had an input on it from the start, and you get to see it here in the flesh. And it was really awesome. I guess I'm sure you guys could agree. It was really awesome to see every part of the community come together to create something and really see their ideas realized at the end of the day. So thank you guys.
It's very cool. It's cool to be able to have that kind of process in the game, and we're very lucky to be in a position where we can have a community engaged in that level. And again, just a massive thanks to the community artists who helped out with this.
Yes.
They were, like I said, they were just a dream to work with.
Yes, awesome. So we want to jump into the conversation. Keith, you're here. You have worked on many Warframes for Warframe, and we just wanted to bring up the conversation. Well, Geoff, you wanted to talk a little bit about the process of actually designing Warframes.
Yeah,
So,
the Warframe art that we're going to show after Protea is kind of like, it's showing what Warframes are going to be coming up next this year. But kind of just to kind of give an idea of the kind of two kind of processes we have in the studio for getting Warframes into the game. We have like the designers who come up with them, and then every once in a while we kind of open the floodgates and see if other people would like to pitch. And the next two that we have are kind of artist pitches. And how the designers approach it, they usually come up with the kit and try to find either request concept art, or through Keith, who has given us just an insane amount, tons and tons of ideas. They usually go into Keith's kind of bin and see if they can kind of visual inspiration for the kit that they want to design. So Pablo really liked Keith's Protea. I think what ended up happening is Ray had to adapt the design to kind of fit some of the tech functions that were kind of in the PowerCast that Pablo come up with. But again, Keith's Warframe designs and his weapon designs are always just fantastic. And I'm not sure if he really if he had anything he wants to add to kind of what his thought process was behind this design and generally how he approaches Warframes.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I definitely come at it with the kind of the theme and the principle behind.
Do you even remember this design?
I do, and I remember. It is a long time ago. It's actually some of the later stuff, or I had to suddenly go back through and check my notes on it. I do remember Protea. I think she was called Odalisque.
That's right.
Originally, and I was sort of playing around with the idea of a bit of a hypnotism and a dancing type of skill set. But I love what they've done with adapting the kind of the bustle and the fins into the turret system, both from gameplay, because I love turret gameplay and things. So it worked really well.
The functionality of the mesh, of her mesh into the power casting, worked really well.
That's what also an example. Originally, the Odalisque was just a line drawing. And then, because sometimes I'll do that, and then I'm like, okay, I'm off to some other ideas. Tell me if anything's up with these previous ones. And then everyone at D is so amazing at working with all this stuff. They could just take a line design like that and then do it sort of exactly how I would have envisioned and hoped it would turn out. And so it's one of those things where I never worry about it. If they just work off the line drawing, I always find it captures that essence, and it's always such a thrill to see. And then sometimes I'll go off and do paintings and different gestures and rear views and things like that. But
I think the character team has gotten really good at figuring out kind of sometimes your shorthand as well.
Yeah. And this is what I like to work with your concept, Keith. It's always very interesting, and there is enough information to be able to build it for the game in 3D. But there is enough space for us to still have to be creative with it. So it's very. I enjoy working with your concept art.
It's great, and it's always exciting to see what you do with it in terms of the animation and the mechanics. So I wanted to play a bit more with that lovely Half Moon magazine kind of style that you guys used in the Soma, sort of based off of the old French Chauchat and things like that. And so I was kind of working with that here. And then I love what you did with this, where she just chucks it away.
I got some great animation videos from Tim pretending he had tape taped onto a Nerf gun, and he would kind of slide a Sharpie through it and just throw it away as animation references. So it's
Tim's a bit of a MacGyver.
A little bit, but it's super cool to watch. I do want to just touch on something that Keith, you mentioned, just how when you're concepting, how it can start from some doodles and really preliminary work on getting that concept actually fully detailed. And we kind of see that with the Alchemist Warframe, which Geoff, Nikita had concepted, and we see some pretty early stages here of what is going to be the next Warframe after Zaku?
Yeah, so as I was alluding to before, this is Nikita making a pitch for a Warframe design. So he has, I won't speak too much on his power kit or the next one, because they do pitch the kit and then they work with Pablo and Scott to kind of refine that. I'm not exactly sure what stage that's in right now. But Nikita kind of pitched his line drawing to Lucas and I. And I mean, you can tell right here, right off, Nikita, again, started out as a community artist and someone who just understands the Warframe aesthetic completely. And you can really kind of get a good sense of where he's going with this. So Lucas and I told him to build on it and definitely push it.
And we can see the progress that was made just from which Nikita told me was a lunchtime doodle. Just kind of a casual, I'm going to just put some, pen to paper, and now we have this Alchemist Warframe final concept.
That's right, yep.
And what are some of the themes that we can kind of expect from the Alchemist?
Again, I can't remember how much it was in flux, because I'm not sure if you remember, Lucas, because it was
I do.
5 months ago.
I can talk about this one and give more details to the Tenno. So Nikita is like a weapon artist, but the good thing in DE is if you want to try something else, you're able to. And Nikita is like a community artist, as Geoff mentioned. And he was like, I want to do a Warframe. So he's a really good artist, and we gave him his chance. And look at that, it's just amazing. Mm-hmm. And so his idea was the alchemist, but the mad scientist too, right? So you can see like those type of tubes that go around that symbolize serpents, and serpents are a symbol of alchemist because it's shed and it's kind of like a rebirth, right? You can see the inspiration with the glove and kind of like the asthma suit and everything.
And he actually has the serpent shapes incorporated along the arms. And
yes.
They are separate kind of characters in a way, and they will have animations, and they will be able to separate from the body.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
And we do actually have the model to show, which actually is there a snake coming out of his arm there? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, that's what's coiled around his arm.
Yeah. So
cool.
this is very interesting with this Warframe because he's an alchemist, so he tried lots of different things, and with this kind of snake syringe, he kind of tried it on his enemy, right? So this will kind of be one of his ability, definitely. And then you can see his helmet. The right part of his helmet is a little bit destroyed. And this is because one of his experiments went wrong. So, interesting details there.
It's also a function of the gameplay because he realized that it was blocking the in-camera.
Oh, really?
It came from that, yeah.
But it works. It works great.
No one has to know that. No one has to know that.
No, we won't tell anyone.
Very cool. Very cool.
But it is cool. You can see the thought process. Sometimes things have to adapt when he goes from sketch to model. You know, he completely redesigned the helmet for when he went with the model, and it turned out really great.
Well, I'm ready to become a mad scientist seeing this, so I'm pretty excited. And then we have another community artist, well-known in our community, Liger. So what are we looking at here?
This is a very cool story because Liger now kind of works for DE. Well, works for DE, not kind of. And this is what got them the job. This was just a fan project that they put together and put online. And it lit up the studio. It was making the rounds. Everyone's like, did you see this? Did you see this? And so I think I might have got in touch with Rebecca and just said, hey, can you reach out and see if they'd be willing to take on some deluxe contracts? And then that worked out so well that we ended up just kind of bringing them on and hiring them. So as they kind of, got more comfortable in the production at DE, they made a pitch. They said, this is the design I came up with all these years ago. Would it be possible to pitch it as a Warframe? I said, absolutely. Like, put your kit together. I said, the aesthetic is already good to go. We'd have to make some adaptations to it, to make sure it can function as a 3D mesh. But Pablo gave it the pass, and I think Scott and Pablo both worked on it a bit, and it's going into production. It's already started. Skyers has a base mesh kind of going, which is just a really cool story, I think.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and we have some I guess you could say in progress or some work in progress versions of that 3-year-old concept that is kind of being reworked.
And now that it went into production, this is the kind of revised. It was very cool. Like, there was some notes just to get the mesh to work on a mesh, as I mentioned, but because it was about 2-year-old design, I can't remember exactly, about 2 years old. Liger also just wanted to kind of do some updates to the base kind of body. So that's kind of what we're seeing here.
Awesome. And then, of course, with all the Warframes we've showed, we have signature alt helmets and accessories coming with this as well. So this is some early, I guess, concepts. Or is this a final concept from Liger?
This is final. Yep, this is the alt helmet. Yep.
There you go. Some spiky swooped situation happening here.
It's always fun to see something that's really brave with like asymmetry. It's tricky because you know which side you put it on, things like that.
Yeah.
And it's also aesthetically too. It's sort of but I love the way this looks and really going all the way with it. Really having that unique silhouette and that flow too with those kind of striations. It's great.
Liger, I think, has a really great understanding of using the organic forms, the kind of like organic shapes of the Warframes into those like natural flows, and just those kind of really nice balance that you get with it. And
then we have WRAITHE's SYANDANA, again by the lovely Liger.
So Liger work for the weapon team a lot too. So they do a lot of concept. So I reached out, and I asked if they wanted to do the SYANDANA, and I think it looked pretty good. Yeah.
Looks pretty good.
No, what should I say?
No, that's good.
No, it's good. It's good. And then we have a nifty looking weapon as well. I guess it's styled to be equipped like a Sonicore almost. So
That's
it's
right,
got that
yeah.
wrist mounted, setup to it. So
Yes.
is there anything we
And-
can expect from it in terms of like functionality or?
Yeah, so you can see like the purple slab. This is kind of the clip. And when it's empty, you kind of grab it and throw it to the enemy. And then something happened. We still don't know what, but
Right.
This will be like the reload animation part.
It's just because Tim likes to throw stuff in his animations. So.
As we've
That's right.
learned,
Yeah.
So when you throw it, it's almost like its own projectile. Like, well,
Exactly, like a grenade or
Cool.
or something that explode and do an AOE,
Right.
something like that. Yes.
exciting. All right, so we've shown the next 3 Warframes to come all this year. I think we determined that, yeah. So all
I think
in
we're committing to
2020.
that, yeah.
So you're going to see Zaku, you're going to see the Alchemist, and you're going to see the Wraith all come to you in 2020. So very exciting. So now that we've shown the next Warframes to come, I think people already have their wheels turning on how they're going to customize them. Fashion frame being very important, of course. And we did ask our players to submit some of their fashion frame loadouts to be judged or reviewed by our panelists here today. So Geoff, Lucas, and Keith, you have the task of looking at some of the submissions here and letting them know what your thoughts are. So this first one comes in from Stargazing Kitsune on PC. Here we have it. Take a look at the
Lucas,
details.
you're going to be biased to this. You
No,
can't-
I'm not. It's just amazing. That's it. Point,
It's
place.
amazing.
This is Lucas's design.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you
It's
go.
amazing. Yeah.
Stargazing, you're smart. You submitted knowing
I know,
somehow
he's
that
working-
Lucas was going to be here.
He's working the judges. Well done.
It's like a prime because with the gold and everything, it's pretty good, yeah. And even like the theme, like the purple, fits the actual Nova Prime, so pretty good. Yeah.
It is very good.
I like
There's
it.
a great like beetle shell enamel kind of quality to it. I don't think I've seen on a Warframe before.
I think you tried to get that, didn't you, Lucas?
Yeah. Like the helmet is not the one that I designed,
No.
but I know that it's not very loved in the community. So no, it's all fine. It's all good.
Can't win them all.
Well, I mean, like, as we're going through this, we know a lot of these, like, the fashion of Warframe is very subjective, and there's just so many customizations, which is kind of the
nuts.
beauty of it.
100%, yeah.
So you can really create a space that, is really tailored to you. So as we go through this, like we'll see with this next one here by Deimos_Jade on PS4, we have a completely different style with a Baru.
Oh man, 2 for 2 with Lucas.
Oh, again, Lucas.
This is amazing. It's like people like the community have such like good taste. And, like, oof. I like that.
I like the colors going on here. This is nice. Yep.
And we have this one here from 7th Spectrum on Xbox One.
Oh,
Oh, very bloomy.
Haro Deluxe.
Oh, I like the take on Haro. I like that. I like the kind of like the light theme on Haro.
Who designed the Haro Deluxe? I know we actually showed it last TennoCon.
Keith did the initial Warframe concept for Haro.
but this one is Samuel.
That's right. Then
Yeah.
Sam built the deluxe off it.
Yeah.
So Keith, you're seeing the community creations come from your concept art, and this is kind of like on the elevated level of Haro.
It's one of the things I really love is we sort of design these, space ninjas and things like that, and then the community always sort of, I mean, a lot of them, I see different takes, but a lot of the time they sort of build themselves up like these feudal warlords, with all this kind of added kind of pomp, and it's really interesting to see the kind of people following this this kind of elevation of their own character and through their successes and kind of conquering.
Very symmetrical and everything. And I see that there is an FX from Baruch
Yes.
on the background.
Yes.
So
Another one for Lucas. That's 3 for 3.
it's amazing, guys.
Lucas, you're killing it. You're killing it. What are we, like 3 for 3 now? This next one comes from Brush_D, and this is actually a Nintendo Switch player with again, Protea
Oh, nice.
out
yeah.
on display. Very pink fuchsia.
You know, I like a good pink theme.
do you?
I do. I think Megan's watching this, right? I'm assuming Megan will watch this.
She will.
Yeah, she wants to see kind of like a tasteful way to use pink.
Jeff. Megan, he doesn't mean it. No. A tasteful way to use pink. But actually, I think this is the first time I've ever seen Protea in this kind of color scheme. And she is using one of her alt helmets. And I think it's delightful. I'm not an artist. I shouldn't be commenting here, but
No,
I like
you can.
it.
Of course you can. You're the host.
Everybody can comment on art.
That's the beauty of
It's
Fashion
taste.
Frame, right? Yeah.
So
True. There you go.
It's good. I really like really bright color when they are with neutral grays and dark. It's something that I really like. Yes.
Just a nice little pop of color. And we have Sevek 7 on PC with an atlas.
Okay, so this one was Megan's. This was Megan. This was Megan as an alias
This is an alt
Yeah.
account of Megan's.
with her toothpaste fashion.
We've got a lot of like interesting attachments and stuff going on here. So, what are your thoughts?
You know, I know people love the giant sword. For me, like it was originally a bug,
Yep.
a scale bug that went out, and we just kind of embraced it. It still doesn't sit right with me. I think
Really?
it's too much. I think it's too much. I don't like it.
You
but,
don't like living out
Come
the
on.
monster hunter fantasy in Warframe.
Well, I think more just the proportions of the sword, the design of the sword wasn't really put into the consideration for the scale. But, you listen to the community, that's fine.
Yeah. And if you're watching from home and you're wondering how to
Man,
get such a
this is
sword to upset
helmet.
Jeff, you can equip. It's the Chroma Deluxe sword skin. I can't remember the name right now. It's fleeting, but you equip it to the Zenistar and you get this magical, wonderful, large sword. So there you go.
This is Jeff upset.
This is Jeff is very upset that I've told you this information. And this last entry might
I'm suspicious of this.
this last entry might look a little familiar.
Wait a second.
What do we see here, guys? What are we looking at here? Huh?
This was Megan's, wasn't it?
This is a last minute entry,
Of course.
She wanted your open and honest thoughts. She wanted to bring this to the table, She really just wanted you to go in and
It's the 90s windbreaker kind of aesthetic. It was like,
Yep, very highlighter chic, toothpaste. We've heard cotton candy, everything under
Yeah.
the sun that you can imagine. But
she's got the Inaros Prime going. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
good old Inaros.
Look how messy her room is, too. It's just like, didn't even tidy up before she took a screenshot.
Sorry, Megan. I don't know if she knows that I was going to pick this, but there you go. So thank you to everyone. We had loads of submissions. It was actually incredibly difficult to pick from the submissions. I had help from Taylor and Sarah from the community team to present these wonderful Fashion Frame submissions. So thank you, guys. So we're continuing on the customization fashion train with deluxe skins. And some of these concepts our players have seen before, but we have updates to share. First, of course, is the HYDROID Deluxe, another
Again,
Lager
showing-
piece.
Showing how good Lager is.
Yes.
at skins.
And here we actually have the man himself in his final form.
Yeah, the mesh turned out really great. I love how the back turned out without. So the coat is going to be a specific customization option for HYDROID, kind of like Valkyr's like arm attachments. So you can have the coat attached if you like, or you can have him bareback as he is here. I really love the shape of the back. It looks really good in game as well. And the coat is really cool. The physics on it, it always has like a presence of motion to it, like it's underwater. Ooh. It's very subtle, but it came out really nice. Ooh.
And we, of course, had to give the deluxe treatment to HYDROID's Kraken as well.
That's right.
So there you go. As far as I know, his tentacles are also going to be deluxed as well.
I think those are being worked on right now, actually, yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
So we have a neat little nifty new friend here coming out of the sea.
It's getting the whole kit.
Mm-hmm. And then, I'm so excited for this guy, but what is a space pirate without a trusted floating space squid companion? So, look at him go. He's a little cute little bud.
So this is a concept that we asked Liger to do, as they do character and cosmetic and weapons too. And this one is actually like a deluxe skin for the Dirija.
So I want to know, like, will his tentacles be animated at all? Like, will he be slapping enemies away? Or
I think it's gonna be more like a dead squid.
Oh no! He's just gonna kind of float around.
Yeah, they're just gonna hang around.
Okay. sad Diriga.
Yeah, it's gonna been out of the water a bit too long.
Oh no, Jeff! Floating dead squid. Lovely. And then we, of course, with keeping with the pirate theme, we've got this spear gun. It's a skin, right? So it'll be an attachable skin onto spear guns.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. It's more like a trident, you know, with like the sea seams.
And the effects look really neat too, kind of keeping with that. Are we using the same effects on his cloak that we are with this weapon?
His cloak will have there's a gradient to the cloak. So it starts with fabric and works its way down to kind of like a water feel. So the end of the coat is going to have effects to make it feel like the end is made up of water. And I think Liger pitched a fish ephemera that we're going to see if we can get in as well for it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh, I'm already envisioning all the cool underwater themes I can come up with. It's exciting. And then we've also shown the GARA Deluxe. We've both shown these concepts on previous dev streams. I think it was in October of last year, which I guess was the month of deluxe skins. And we have a progress report to show. This is by Dehan. Mm-hmm. And Greg took a stab at this.
Pun intended?
Yeah, well, you know? Oh, she's so beautiful.
I feel like, did Megan collaborate on this as well?
Oh my!
Like, it even has the ponytail and the default colors, or I don't know, something's up.
Is the theme?
Something's up.
Is the theme of this deluxe social distancing? Because you don't want to be too close to this.
Yeah, very
timely.
dangerous.
Yeah.
The glass looks extremely like sharp, and I think I remember Greg mentioning that we're using some of the updated glass textures on her. So
it's neat to see that sort of solved, because I think some of the original GARA explorations were sort of shattered glass and broken glass, and it's very crystals, glass are such a tricky thing to deal with in any medium.
Definitely.
So it's really neat to see that kind of you come back and figured it out.
Yeah.
So we will eventually post this on our social medias, which the community, you guys would have seen this already and possibly already successfully translated it. But if you translated Zephyr in Tenobet and Deluxe in Japanese, congratulations. Zephyr Deluxe, another Liger piece here. Wow.
So the cool thing about this is Liger's also a fan of Warframe. And when they did the HYDROID Deluxe, it was kind of assigned to them. And this was a request because Zephyr, of course, we know how long Zephyr's been waiting for. So yeah, this was the pitch. And it's kind of, a little bit of Wipeout inspired. The personality kind of gives you that Jet Set Radio vibes. And they put a lot of work, a lot of really cool thought into kind of like the corporate logo kit that goes with it. And a lot of thought going into the kind of how this can be color customized. So I think there's going to be some really cool possibilities with this deluxe. And I'm hoping if we have enough time that we'll be able to do an animation set for this one as well.
So a deluxe animation set for Zephyr Deluxe.
That's right, yeah.
Yes.
She deserves it. How long have we been waiting for
Yeah,
Zephyr?
and I guess we should just be clear that this is not necessarily replacing one of the Carrie's original design.
No, I feel bad. I jokingly threatened Carrie that we were going to take his design away and have an artist finish it. And he like, I was really kind of teasing, but there was genuine heartache when I said that to him. So we are like, just so everyone knows, Carrie is a very, very hardworking member of the Warframe art team, has a lot on his plate. So he's deserved to kind of poke away at this whenever he gets the chance. And maybe it was our fault for unveiling it.
So it's like a passion
ago.
project almost. Yeah. So Carrie's passion project is still happening.
Yeah.
He's just obviously
everyone be nice to Carrie.
Yes, everyone be nice to
Carrie.
Carrie. So we actually have an announcement here from the TennoGen team. And if you are a TennoGen artist or you're an aspiring TennoGen artist, we have the following items coming into the program. So we have some select melee weapons, so blade and whip, sparring, claws, and machete. All of the remaining landing crafts are coming as well. So the scimitar, the Xiphos, and the new Nightwave landing craft that you would have gotten in the rank 30 rewards for Nightwave Series 3. And shoulder armor pieces as well. So all of that will be coming in the next week or so. Also, more details on that will be coming, so you can get prepped and ready to start TennoGenning some new stuff. And next up here, we have some weapon skins.
This is a really weird story. One day I was going through Twitter and I saw a picture of a gun that is called Le Fâcheux 20 rounds double-barreled revolver. And I was like, oh, this gun looks pretty good. It was like interesting shapes and stuff. And I was like, oh, we should do something with this for Warframe, right? And actually, then I read the actual Twitter, and it was somebody saying, we should do a gun like that for Warframe. I was like, oh, okay, well. And then I just asked Liger if they was interested about the idea, and they immediately caught on it, and I didn't have to do much. And then now we have like a full bundle of this theme. So pretty interesting story.
Yeah, so we have a shotgun skin, we have a pistol skin, and we also have the melee whip skin that you mentioned will be coming in a bundle. And we also have a SYANDANA kind of in a similar style, but that will be coming separate from the skin bundle, I believe. All right, so we're going to jump into some behind the scenes stuff for things that have already launched this year. So we're gonna start off with Nightwave Series 3, the Glassmaker, and some concept art that we haven't shared yet. And mostly coming in from the Komiki brothers. And we have some early work here of the glassed enemies, the victims of the Glassmaker.
Yep.
And it looks like there is some inspiration from the fractal shoulder pieces that we have as a reward. I did actually see a question on Twitter about what really inspired the investigation scenes for Nightwave, because I think it's a style that a lot of people maybe have not seen yet in Warframe.
Yeah, it was Steve who came up with the idea based off a kind of an evolution of the dioramas that we usually do for Nightwave to kind of introduce the story. And he had this idea as like, what if we had a diorama that surprised the player by ending in an interactive state where you got to walk around and search for clues. So, and that was kind of like the catalyst for the theme of the story.
And then we have some more concepts, of course, from the brothers. We have Nora's very own landing craft, the Nightwave landing craft, and the pod, the air support pod, the Dreamer's pod.
Yeah.
So very cool. It almost looks like, as I can see in the concept art, that there was some inspiration pulled from the underbelly, I guess, of the Nora ship.
That's right, yep.
And we have some concept art here from Jelko and Craig Sellers of The Weave. So a place that looks angelic and peaceful in the concept art, but actually has caused me much anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, like a really cool, like little world expanding kind of element to NIGHTWAVE, where you're pulled into this this villain's kind of world, and it just the feel and the atmosphere of it just turned out really nice.
And something we haven't shown for NIGHTWAVE yet, for Series 3, is this little doodad here. Very interesting. Anything we can say?
Well, there is going to be a custom boss fight for the end of this series. I don't know if that's too much to say. And the villain does use a custom sword that we're hoping will be attainable for a player.
And then we kind of, in the similar Oricon style, we have this gentleman here, Ballas's brother or uncle, related somehow.
I don't think there's a family relation.
Okay.
It was just this was just a really good opportunity to kind of introduce another Orokin presence in the game. And Sam kind of built on, this was all Sam that kind of designed the Glassmaker, but he built everything off of the foundations that Keith kind of laid out when he was kind of designing Ballas at the time. So I'm not sure if he really has anything he wants to kind of speak to.
It's really exciting to see when you sort of establish a new culture and a new kind of group, to see another designer kind of come in. And in this case, there's always this risk of everyone looking like they showed up to the same to the party wearing the same thing. So which really deadens the feel, the depth and the feel of the culture and the designs and things like that. So when you have other designers come in with their slightly different aesthetic takes, and they feel like it really makes the character feel like a different person with a slightly different background and possibly from a different location, because I mean, it was such a huge sort of a thing you're touching upon, and we're only touching upon it in these little ancient hints so far. So you really have to make this sense that it's seeing the tip of a huge iceberg. And
we've seen a little bit of hints here and there as we've progressed in the Series 3 episodes. Just some little elements here and there, at least from what I've noticed, pulled from the lovely blue gentleman.
And there is story nuggets in there that kind of leads you to his background. So
we have some behind the scenes from the Deadlock Protocol, a little tiny slight spoiler for the Deadlock Protocol quest. But as we've been working from home, the animators have had to get creative, I guess. So right. We have some reference videos here of Tim in his laundry room acting out the release of a captured Solaris. Yeah. And we also have Ian, I believe.
Ian in his quarantine hair.
But at the cost of all that she was. Now she is nothing more than a specter of her former self. My beautiful Protea. That is why you have been invited here.
So yeah, the team has had to get a little bit, I guess, creative with reference work.
Yeah, video reference is always a very important component to animating when you can use it, and especially when you don't have access to a mocap studio. It's very helpful for sure.
Right. So now we're going to step in a totally different world from the Corpus, from the Grineer. We're going to jump into the Infested Faction.
This is exciting, yeah. Over the last couple of years, we've expanded the Grineer. We just put out an update that expanded the Corpus, and the Infested have definitely been a bit neglected in that realm. So we've kind of started work on building up the Infested Faction with new enemy designs, and they've been in production for the last little bit. So
what do we have here?
Oh, Keith.
Oh, Keith.
I think this was even unsolicited, Keith. I think one day you just kind of gave us this amazing drop of, hey, here are some ideas we have that I had for a bunch of infested enemies.
I think it was just like a little note where sort of Infested maybe to be determined. And so I was
Yep.
like, well, okay, it's, I want to take a shot at that then.
Yeah.
And it's really, the Infested are really fun, like any kind of Lovecraftian visual challenge, because they have this sort of principle of being slightly hard to describe, formless, that kind of thing. And you can't just do that because that makes a mess. So you have to, what you do is you kind of have to make these forms and principles, and then you mutate them. So in a weird way, I kind of have to almost imagine what this might have looked like before it was infected, how it maybe formed if it's like a polyp or a tumor off of another thing. So in a way, they're also always in this sort of this sense of tearing and changing and drooping and bulging. So there's sort of like an accelerated type of evolution happening in one organism. So I'm trying to kind of unlock more of those principles and use those.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And here's the infested femur, bulging and nasty as described. And
Oh,
it's got a
Some
lot
really
of
good
weight to it.
squashes. Yeah, really good squash and stretch going on.
Amazing sense of weight for the dangler.
Yeah. Not much of a femur coming through in the name, but
I really like the tiny hands.
I love the tiny hands. Like, they're so great. Especially, there's a detail in there when it's doing the vault animation, just these little toes.
Oh, do they actually grapple on?
They kind of wiggle a little bit. It's so good.
Incredible. And then we have the infested bone blade.
Yeah, another one of Keith's. I think this was part of the same batch that Keith dropped.
Yeah,
us.
this is part of a little. This is sort of one of those ones where I think you'll see it better in the upcoming shots where they've interpreted it so perfectly, where you can almost see a form of someone almost like laying down with their legs up, so you sort of see the head down at the bottom, and it's almost like a hint of a figure or something that was originally there.
That's amazing, because I didn't get to talk to you when we built this, and I was going to ask you if that kind of came through, if that was what you were thinking when it came through.
I mean, I always try and imagine before, even if it's just a sketch or a doodle, I always try and have to kind of think through everything along the way, because otherwise I don't want to go back and have to change the original gesture.
Yeah.
So I always try and think through the whole thing in every angle, and so yeah, and that's again, you guys always interpret it so perfectly.
And we have some more nightmare fuel, maybe, for
It's
you.
great. It's so good in motion. So it has a custom spawn. So it can kind of like anchor to pieces of the geo and come in and out.
Look at him go.
And it's like they did an awesome job. Like, this thing is, they've managed to give it a pretty good personality, for a pretty abstract form. It's always exciting to kind of see these things come to life.
Whoa, what's happening here?
So it can kind of spawn projectiles.
That's his namesake, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's almost like it's vertebra. It like grows new vertebra, displaces its spine, and then shoots them out like blade discs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Oh my god.
It worked out. The theme just worked out so great in function. It was really cool to see.
And then we have this creepy crawly. The Ashen, I believe. It's named Infested Ashen.
Yep.
And
some really great animations to kind of, so again, just to get a sense of swarm, because that's a really good quality in game to the Infested, is the kind of the overwhelming nature of it. So these guys will have a really good flair to that.
That's
just
great.
motoring.
That earwig gesture is awesome.
Yeah, it turned out really nice. And again, just really good use of stretching out the body to kind of emphasize the actions.
it's a little roly-poly.
Yeah.
Sonic.
Oh boy. There you go.
Yeah, it's just really cool additions to the enemy variety.
And then we are not only are we expanding on infested enemies in the faction, but we're also exploring the infested weapons as well. Here we have the infested claws.
So this is a design and a model from Nikita. One of the goals here was to have something lively. So he tried to have like lots of parts that move to give like this sense of like life, right? It's a creature on your hand. And he wanted to do something else too. you can see it in these shots, but the claw extend of like twice of the arm, like their size here. So it will reach really far away. And when you see it extended, it looks pretty ridiculous and brings some very creepy silhouette. So it's very interesting.
I love the silhouette. Nikita did an amazing job with the shape design of this, because it has like a really complementary and just a really like natural flow from the player's arm. It feels really nice.
And we're adding to the arm cannon category of weapons. So the Shadow is getting a buddy of infested nature, and this thing is monstrous.
It's huge.
So on this one, Kaz wanted to give to give you the feeling that you have like a living creature on your arm. So everything will be moving and will be very gross. And something else that she wanted to convey is like a sense of power, and like, so you can even feel like it's like just muscle going through each other, being like just like a buff arm or something.
So she did a really amazing job. Like, it's such a thoughtful design that it's actually functional in game now, and the way she thought about it, the way it was built to animate, just the ambient animations it has on it, it totally conveys everything Lucas just said that she was going for.
It's got, I know we've had people in the past, some of our players say, oh, I would love to like basically dismantle the Juggernaut and slap it together as an arm cannon piece. So I'm sure everyone out there who's had that kind of like vision will be very happy with this. And we've also got some nifty little attachments coming as well in the Infested Faction.
So it's a small one, and you can see it right now, but you have those kind of like tubes going out. Then like Jeremy will work the FX to be like there is spore coming from it, so it would be like, and again, like everything will be moving. You will have kind of like a creature on your back. So.
I'm getting a lot of the sense that with our team's kind of take on making the Infested really lively, because they are the most organic faction in the game. So it sounds like you guys had a lot of fun kind of bringing these creepy, kind of very lively, almost unsettling like parts of the Infested to life in this kind of new future, I guess you could say, for the Infested.
Yeah, I mean, like in Warframe, it's a very, we try really hard to be like very friendly to the artists that work on it, to have some creative freedom and explore it. And the Infested is such a great opportunity for those guys to just kind of flex their muscles and just make some really weird stuff.
But it's awesome. Like it's a part of Warframe that I guess we haven't really seen in a while. So
it's really nice to build on it.
Breathing new life into that.
And looking at the heart, you really don't want to meet the artist. You're like, come on, you came out with this? It's like, what's like you have a problem?
And they're all the nicest people, though.
Right.
It's like, remember when I was first going to meet Keith, I had this build up in my head. I'm like, man, how scary is this guy going to be? And he's like the nicest person on the planet.
I can attest to that. We're moving on into Infested companions. So we're adding to our companions with infested, I guess, versions of the KUBROW, which we see here with the head and tail variations that you would expect from making your companions.
It's great. There's a real sculptural quality, a real regal quality. It reminds me of Assyrian lion statues. Really, really good.
Yeah, and that's the kind of the cool thing. Like, there's like a neat spin, which you'll see on the next slide. I kind of like that the KUBROW feels a bit more like a cat, and the Kavat feels more like a dog.
Oh, I never picked up on that, but so here's the Infested Kavat, again with the head and tail variations that you would expect. I'm learning things. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, and this guy, his head is rigged in a way that whenever the jaw opens, the head splits open.
What?
It's kind of gross.
Nice.
All right, so we're nearing the end of our panel here, and we have one more thing to show in the Infested area, and it is a fan favorite, but infested, a domestic drone in the infested fashion.
I think they were just brainstorming, and then I think it came from environment artist or something like that. We caught it somewhere. And then we were like, oh, it's a good idea, but it doesn't make sense, right? So
Because it's kind of anti-cleaning.
exactly, right? It's infested. It's not clean. The goal of this one is like it's not going to clean your ship. It's going to leave some
Exactly.
dirtiness everywhere. So this is kind of like the inverse. So by inverting its purpose is like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's to give Kaz credit. Like she did build all of that, and it was hilarious to see it. Once the animations got applied to it and see it come to life is pretty hilarious.
100%. Kaz took the idea and just look at that.
Look at him wiggle. Oh, his little legs. Yeah, he's kind of like the anti-domestic drone because he makes mess and
He makes a mess.
I wonder how the other domestic drones are going to feel when the
They
infested
just
drone
follow
arrives.
it. They just follow it.
So I believe the effects are still work in progress, and the sound team I think is going to have a fun time giving this little buddy some life
custom
and
sounds,
some custom sounds there too. But that's it. That concludes our look at the Infested, and it also concludes our art panel for this year for TennoCon
Very
2020. So we've shown a lot of stuff, and obviously I want to give a big thanks to our panelists here. Thank you, Jeff, Lucas, and Keith for all joining.
Our pleasure.
Always super
Thank
interesting.
you, Danielle. You kind of like massive kudos to you for organizing all this. You made it so easy because we have the chaos of getting everything ready for TennoCon, and this was probably like it was a breeze, and it was just really, really cool of you to handle all this for us. So thank you very much.
I'm super happy to present it because obviously, there is such a massive amount of people that work on Warframe on the art team, and this is really just kind of a portion, like a snapshot of the monumentous amount of work that goes into putting these kind of things into the game and making them a reality. So
I'm really glad you said that because there's like you said, this is just a fraction of the art team. And at the moment, the art team is just killing themselves getting the TennoCon content ready to go. And we don't really cover, there's such a broad range of content. There's the layout artist, the effects artist, there's lighting, that didn't get a lot of coverage on this panel. So definitely want to make sure that their work is appreciated. And thank you very much for tuning in. I know it's kind of sad that we didn't get to do our live event this year, but I'm really glad that we could at least put this together and share the work we've been working with you guys in the community. And again, just really cool to see people that we haven't seen in 3 months, like Lucas, Danielle, Dean, and even Keith on camera. It's really cool to see you.
Yeah, thanks. I would say thanks. Thanks, Danielle, for setting it all up. Thanks to everyone at DE. It's always such a pleasure working on this with everyone. And thanks to everyone for enjoying all our hard work with the game, and thanks for watching.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here. And I think it's not sad, it's just different. And look, I'm excited about it. So.
Yeah, we miss having you guys here in London, Ontario, Canada, but we hope that you enjoyed us bringing you some of what the Warframe art team has been working on. And with that, we are ending our segment and we are moving on to the next. Hope you enjoy. Thank you for joining again, and we'll see you later.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.